the mighty and resilient Merrimack River, carving through the communities of our great region. My name is Linda Lorden, proud president of Merrimack County Savings Bank, and like the river that serves as our namesake, we're a constant yet ever-changing presence. Because to us, it's bigger than banking. It's about powering communities and putting people first. It's about knowing where you came from and where you're going. That's Merrimack style. Visit us at themerrimack.com.
I'm a strong believer in passion and purpose. But what do I mean by that? I believe to be really good with something, you have to be passionate about it. And when you're passionate about something, it also becomes your purpose. But let's just be clear. You can be passionate about several things and have multiple purposes. In today's episode, Dawn Olivieri, she joins me and she just exemplifies that. Now, she's had great success in acting. Recently, she was in the Yellowstone series. But let's be clear, to be at her level of success, you need to have passion and purpose. But today's episode is about another one of her passions, Moon Mountain Sanctuary. You know how you go down a path and it takes you somewhere you had no idea would take you to? And then when you got there, you absolutely knew you were supposed to be there? Well, Dawn, my new best friend, by the way, she took that path. And just wait till you hear her story. Now, I want you to fathom this. It's COVID. She moves to Arkansas. She finds out about these goats that need to be rescued. I said goats. Then now she's a goat lady. Then she finds out about this last chance horse auction. Now we really get into all the details during the episode, but the next thing she knows, she's bidding on the horses. Not a couple of them, all of them. Now, did I mention passion? And did I mention purpose? Anyways, this very successful actor today is huge in the horse rescue. She's really making a difference, and she's got this new approach to make an even bigger difference. My new best friend, that's right, Dawn, you're my new best friend. She is simply amazing in her drive and complete commitment to making a better life for these abused, ill-treated, beautiful equines. Seriously, her story is captivating and inspirational. It's a story of how a strong, determined person can make a difference. So get ready as she takes us on her amazing journey. It's that type of journey we should all strive for.
For real, 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 for real. Got a bunch of furry friends and I love them all the same. I'm an animal lover, veterinarian is the name. Let's share some pet stories from heartwarming to strange, losses and gains, from wacky to insane. For real. You're now tuned in to For Real with your host, Mark Kyle.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the For Real podcast. I have my new best friend on the show today. Her name is Dawn. She didn't realize it, but she is now. Dawn Olivieri. And I'll do my Italian. Dawn Olivieri. Olivieri. Perfect.
You got to do the hand thing. If you do the hand thing, it'll come out right.
Oh, no, I'm doing it. I am so doing it. I am so doing it. I'm almost kissing my hand when I'm doing it, too.
Okay, good.
Anyway. Dawn, welcome to the show. I know you've got a big background. Well, for everybody that's listening, we are going to get to Moon Mountain Sanctuary. Dawn's got this amazing, I'm going to go kill our horse. What's the best way to describe it? I know it's horse rescue, but it's really the kill bins or whatever you get them out of there, right?
Yeah, we intercept slaughter pipeline horses, predominantly wild horses, mostly babies.
Yeah, and I want to get into you so everybody knows. People, once that you start talking, you're going to know who you are. But let's get into you, and then we're going to get in how you got to horses. I know you've been an animal lover your whole time, but let's rock it.
Oh man, animal lover is an understatement, truly. I mean, if you could just have a snapshot of me as a young girl, I probably had 5 pets at one time. I was that girl. I had iguanas and I had hamsters. My science project, back in like middle school, everybody has a science project they have to do. Well, I spent 3 years on the genetic coding of gerbils. Okay. Because I thought this was like a great idea. And I had shelves of gerbils like I was some sort of scientist when I was in middle school. come the third year, I had all this genetic sequencing. I had done it all, and I like put out the, got my whole chart together. And then I get there to present it, and they're like, "You can't use live animals, sweetheart." And I was like, "What?" Yeah. So I wasn't able to enter the science fair.
Genetic sequencing in middle school.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably my mom's fault. So my mom's
Oh.
from she was born on a dairy farm. She grew up with animals. The apple did not fall far from the tree.
That's cool.
So my gerbil genetic sequencing science fair win just was not possible that year. But I ended up having so many sweet little baby gerbils, and I loved it so much. And I was able to, sell to the pet store, so I was like, early on, I was obsessed with animals and baby animals and you name it. I was taking care of things. So I had iguanas and potbelly pigs and we had turkeys and chickens. And I mean, I grew up learning how to care for animals from a very early age. My mom wanted to be a vet. Her mother passed away very early. And so she sort of lost connection with that drive and decided she just became her own version of an animal rescuer, right?
Wow.
And had little baby girls. So that was that. And even leaving home and going out into the world, I lived in all these major cities. I probably carried a tiny Pomeranian in my bag more than not. and I just always had that emotional connection with an animal, no matter where I was, what I was doing. No matter what type of life I created for myself, I always had a thread of responsibility to care for something. And it's a lot to say for a young adult. You kind of leave the nest and you go out into the world and you end up just, you have no ties, no responsibility. I always had an animal that I cared for. There has not been one day of my life I have not woken up and had to not feed something, right?
I have a question for you. So, Theory.
Tell me.
So, animals love you, obviously. Do little kids love you as well?
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so. My theory is animals have an energy and they feel that. I really believe this.
Yeah.
And because small little kids and small animals like me. The rest of the world doesn't like me, but they do. So I always thought it's one of those nature things, but I really do believe that.
Yeah. Yeah. I always felt like the kids liked me though, because I always had the animals. They always thought I was like a fairy godmother or something. Because as I got older, the animals started to shift and change, right? I always had dogs and cats. And then I moved. I would always choose the location that I would live based on what kind of animals I could have. And it ultimately got me to where I'm at, right? I won't skip there just yet. But
Yeah.
even in Los Angeles, when I lived there, I ended up moving to Topanga. I lived there the longest because it was as close to the woods as I could get, close to a rural existence as you can get in Los Angeles. But I had chickens and I had, it would be a joke. Like I would rescue squirrels all the time, right? People would bring me baby squirrels and I'd be nursing squirrels and like milking them every 2 hours. It was ridiculous, but I was so into figuring it out, right? Getting the temperature, the body temp right, getting them to feel. The funny thing about a squirrel is that, some people say they're really hard to rehab, but there's a few key things that once you can't, it's almost hard to mess it up. You get the feeding schedule right, you get the milk right, and you get the temperature right. And something I learned very early on is warmth is life, right? If a baby gets too cold, it passes, it phases out. It can also get too warm, right? So this temperature it's like a real, you can really battle this when you're working with animals or anything that's struggling to survive or hang on. So this was me, I was doing that. I had squirrels stuffed in my bra probably more than anyone ever knew, because also with a squirrel, they want to feel your heartbeat, right?
Right.
They
Well, like most babies.
These living things, they're like babies. Everything's like a baby. You can't just rescue something and put it in a box and just like check on it once in a while. These things are alive, and they, once you learn that, you just start to see that light in everything. I remember rehabbing one baby squirrel, and he looked at me in my eyes, like really like looked at me, and I saw the eyes of a person.
Wow.
Right? I in that moment, I had that epiphany, and I said, "Oh wow, it's the same.
That's cool.
It's all the same," right? One time I even found a weevil and I gave it to a chicken, right? I put it down. That weevil looked up at me and I saw the same eyes. I said, okay, never again. I'll never do that again. I'm so sorry. It looked at me like, why would you just do this? And I'm like, okay, I'm screwed now. Cause like Buddhism, like, where are you? I guess this is me. I can't.
7 years in Tibet, Buddhism.
That's 7 years in Topanga is the same, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
these are those experiences I had, and I rehabbed a skunk, a baby skunk. I actually gave it CPR through a straw because it flatlined on me, and I didn't know. They're a vector for rabies, so I didn't know. So I had to use a straw, and I gave it CPR, and I pumped his little chest and gave it CPR through a straw, and I actually brought him back to life.
Wait a minute. This isn't the skunk we talked about the other day, right?
It's the skunk. Yeah, it's the
Okay.
skunk.
Okay. So let's
Yeah,
save
that
him.
was it was the one and only skunk I've ever rehabbed, and his name was Moon Bear because I feel like if you look up a moon bear, there are these bears in Southeast Asia. They look just like skunks, but they're bears, like the markings in the front of their face and everything. Once you really, if you get close up to a skunk, it's the cutest thing you've ever seen in your whole life. It looks like a teddy bear, and they are the coolest animals. And he was the coolest animal ever. And he went on a walk one day in Topanga. He had a diamond collar on and he went on a walk. And in California, you're not allowed to have wildlife as pets. And I had no license at the time to be able to do that, to rehab like legally. And so when he got picked up by animal control, I could not legally go get him. And I just had to watch him be sent to a zoo and then be sent to another place. And they kind of didn't tell me where after that. Cause I wasn't an actual rehabbing nonprofit or anything, right?
Sure.
So they were like, okay, crazy lady, like you just like let your skunk go. I was like, you have no idea. Like I will literally break into your establishment to go get him. But I didn't do that. So, but instead I sat down and I wrote a deck. This is 9 years ago, probably. It's probably 10 years ago now. I wrote out a deck and at the very top it said Moon Mountain Sanctuary and Retreat. Ooh, I could cry thinking about it.
It's one of those goosebump kind of things. So there's those moments in life. Have you ever heard of the Soy Dog Foundation?
No.
At all? They're huge.
No.
They've done more. They've been on the show, but they were over in Thailand, him and his wife, and they found a dog. And it always starts with something.
Oh, it does, doesn't it?
There you go. You found a skunk. Yours is a little bit more unique.
I know.
That's pretty cool.
I know. That's
Really
the nice
cool.
way to put it. So that, and that's sort of where that all started. I said to myself, that's not fair. I'm so much more, I just felt so well equipped to be able to handle anything, wildlife, animals, period. I know them, right? I knew them. And I was so frustrated that the red tape would keep me from that connection. And so I vowed to do that. I was going to have an animal sanctuary and a retreat for people to come and heal with the animals that were healing at the same time. And maybe a year after that experience, maybe 8 months, I had to move from the guest house that I was renting. I only rented in LA. I never really quite could lock myself down. It wasn't really ever where I wanted to be, but for work, because I'm an actress, I had to, it was like my, the college I had to go to, I felt like anyways.
This is a compliment for you. So you're not stubborn at all. Right?
I'm not stubborn at all.
No.
What do you mean? Probably I am. What way?
I know you definitely are. You figured out your team. You made your list 10 years ago. I'm going to do this. This is what's going to be.
Oh, I don't know anyone who is more, I don't stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm focused on something, I will get it. I will complete it. I will figure it out. I don't care how long it takes me. I am that person. I'm so hyper focused on things in that way. It's a gift and a curse. It really is. But in this instance, it's always been in my blood. My grandfather was a rancher, on the non-Italian side, and he ran a dairy farm, and my mom always same, right? So it feels like it's in my blood. I've always lived in the city, but I'm always thinking about open spaces. And even in this instance, when I had to make a decision, it was either rent another house or do something different, right? And I was so at a crossroads with it because I really felt a pull to just leave that experience, leave that city life, but it's very scary, right? It's very scary, especially you're by yourself.
Sure.
I'm supposed to have made $1 million. I'm supposed to have met the love of my life and do it together and have babies and have a family, right? None of that had happened. And
You met Moon. Come on.
I met the man of my life, and he left. He went on a walkabout, and he went and got a job somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
Being so sweet somewhere else. So yeah, but I had this unexplainable pull, like a calling, like a yearning, like I needed to leave. And I was like, but where am I going to go? This is crazy. My job is here. All the people I know, everything is here. And I sat with a friend on a porch, the porch that I was at. And I said, gosh, I just don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know where I'm supposed to go. I did not have a nest egg. It's like all these things that you think you're supposed to have to make big decisions. And I didn't have any of them. And I didn't want to move into another house with a little yard and do the same thing and just loop the cycle.
Yeah.
So I sat with her and she said, close your eyes. And so I closed my eyes and she said, take a breath. So I took a breath and she goes, I'm going to ask you a question. And when I ask the question, just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. What's the first thing you see? And she says, where do you think you need to be? And I just sat there and I didn't see anything. And then suddenly I said, you know what? I don't see a picture, but what I do hear, all I hear is horse hooves. And that is a true story.
Wow. That's cool.
And I heard horse hooves running. And I'll cry again right now because it's such a profound thing, to look back and to realize you were getting a direction from the universe, from God, whatever the thing is. It was a premonition because look what I'm doing now.
How long ago was that when that happened?
It's probably 5 years ago now.
Okay.
It was the year before COVID.
Yeah, that's a long journey to get where you are now, 5 years.
These things, they don't just like happen overnight, but I really believe, even because of instances like that there's a path laid out for you, right? You're just trying to chip away at what that thing is, what that mission is, or what that heart journey is. And you just have to listen to these really weird intuitive hits. And even at that time, horse hooves. Okay, maybe I'm supposed to go find a property that I could have a horse. I would have never thought it was, you're going to rescue hundreds of horses in 1 year. What in the world? Talk about horsepower, right? A joke, but it's no joke.
Yeah.
It's no joke. So that was what sort of pushed me. I keyword searched acres. It took me out of LA. I went to Tehachapi. I tried to do that, and then COVID hit. And then I went to Oklahoma where my family lives. And they have some horses there. They had one horse in particular, completely untrained, halter broke. That was it. But I was like, I'm just going to watch videos till I can't watch videos anymore and learn how to train this wild horse. Essentially, she wasn't that wild, but she was wild enough for me. And that's what I did. And I just studied and read every book I could and watched every YouTube video, subscribed to every trainer site, I remember distinctly one moment she was rearing up in the round pen right in front of me. And I looked up and my first thought was, wow, this is so beautiful. And then my second thought was, am I really in over my head right now?
The horse was.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So that's sort of what got me out where I'm at now in Arkansas. I just made the jump over the state line because I like the topography in Arkansas more than Oklahoma. I like mountains and streams and a lot of grass. And I call Arkansas the redneck rainforest because that's exactly that's exactly what I feel like it is. Nope. I was working on a show called Hot Zone up in Canada. And I was, my one criteria, well, there were two criteria. I wanted a well, right? So it had to have a well. I guess I didn't think I could also put one in, but this is what I was doing. So a well, and it had to have a national forest boundary because my whole thing was I wanted to saddle my horse and I wanted to just ride straight off the property into wild land. That was my land hack. That was my dream. That's what I wanted. So those were my two things I really stuck to. And at that time in Arkansas, and still in Arkansas, you can find a lot of land for very, very affordable, at affordable prices. But that particular piece was 160 acres, national forest boundaries, wild, abandoned, essentially. A lot of work, but a lot of structures on that land, and it was pretty much like a dream property.
I actually, you know what? Having to have a lot of work, now that you've done all that work, you'll appreciate it more anyways. I mean, that makes more sense to me. Maybe not now, but later.
Yeah. Later for sure.
Yeah.
Later for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you've got the property. Now what?
Yeah, well, so I did meet a guy in the middle of all that who trained mules, and I decided to get married to him. And then we got the land together, and now we're sort of in a dispute with the land, but it's not much of a dispute because he's sort of abandoned it. So it's just now us working out the red tape of how and what and who and where. And he's completely pulled off of it. Everything of his stuff is gone, and now we're just in court now, doing the thing that you
Oh,
have to do. So
welcome to the real world. That's too bad.
yeah, I've been here for a minute, right? It's not. I'm no stranger to the real world,
Yeah.
but it's difficult. It's difficult when there's reasons why you fall in love with people, and then when you get to the other side of conflict, you're just like, where are all those attributes? They kind of disappear, and when you really need them.
Right.
But I've been very graceful through the whole thing, so I'm hoping that all just works itself out and makes it a very smooth transition for him. I mean, I'm there. Everything is there. That I'm the one that's kept the property. I pay everything now, so it's not much of a transition for me.
So 160 acres. So you've got your stubborn mule guy, and then that's what I'm going to
Oh
say.
man.
Anyways,
Oh man.
I know I probably should put my foot in that one. Anyways, so moving forward, you're there, but because I know that a bunch of stuff happened in the last year or so with you. So I want to know how you got there.
Oh my
So
God.
so
Oh my
crazy.
God. So this was the whole plan was just to go and live this bucolic lifestyle in the middle, up against the woods. I want to be as close to God as I can get because I love just the animals, the wildlife, just the wildness of it all. And I'm out there and we separate. So him being more versed in frontier living, I like to call it, because that's really what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
When he took off, I was left with just everything I had from California. So I had a cool vintage Chevy truck, not a 4-wheel drive. Didn't matter much in LA, but out here it really mattered. And I had a Prius.
In Arkansas.
That was it.
That's
That was all my machinery. That was on like rural land in Arkansas. This
Yeah.
is no joke. And in a town where you're 3 hours from the major cities, all of them, including the airports, right?
Oh, that's funny.
So there's no going to Home Depot, right? You have to like take a day trip and and go pick out your fittings or whatever. There's hardware stores, but you get what I mean. So it was wow. And I think I had 4 horses at the time, maybe 3. Yeah, maybe I had 4. I had 4. So 4 horses. I had a herd of goats. And then suddenly the actor strike hits. And I'm like, uh-oh. Now I have no work. I have a boatload of goats. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to be a goat farmer. That's what I thought I was going to do. I had my whole thing. I was goat rich. Like I had a slogan, I was
Oh
like
my
having,
God.
and the prettiest baby goats ever, right? I had the prettiest baby goats. But I'm living in a rural community that could care less about moon-spotted Nubians. That's like if you're living in the city outside Park City, you got a moon-spotted Nubian. They're like, "Ooh, I'll give you $500 for that."
Yeah.
Here, they're like, "No, can't afford that right now.
That's a goat.
Diesel prices are too high." Yeah. So I was like, "Oh my, oh boy, I don't know my audience right now." Do you know what I mean? So 30 goats went to 75 goats very quickly, like almost in a weekend.
So they're like rabbits.
They are. They really are. And they're amazing. And I had the most incredible time with these goats, but nobody wanted to buy goats. And I was also new to the community, so I didn't really know anybody. They didn't know I had goats for sale. I was trying to get on Facebook. I'd never even used Facebook. I was only Instagram because I was in the city,
Yeah.
in this in modernity. And we are not on Facebook out there. We are on Instagram and X and all the things and TikTok. But
Yeah.
So it was me and 70 goats, right? We were weathering the storm together. And I was like, oh man, how am I going to do this? And no work. So you just watch, things are coming in the future, but you just watch your bank account kind of go down, 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 down.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh boy, I'm in big trouble. And then I saw on Facebook, because I was trying to use Facebook, remember? And I saw on Facebook, there was an avatar of a woman in a cowgirl hat with her arm up in the air, raised way up in the air. And the caption was, I'm drowning. And I thought, well, what would make somebody go through the trouble of actually had to like go make that avatar of this like drowning girl? She went and made that. And this was literally my thought process. I thought, what would make someone make this avatar click? And then it was like a tsunami. And it was just image after image after image of these mama baby pairs. And at the top of their images, it said owned by Kill Buyer with X's, big red X's. And I was just like, huh? What is this world? And it was that day that I came to know horse slaughter.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know it existed. Truly. I even went to the auction that I pull Bowie, and I saved a horse. I thought I was just sort of adopting her because she was an Appaloosa. And I was like, oh, I got to go get that. She's so pretty, so I go and get her.
Yeah.
And I never looked at, ships that I never saw that. It's like, it just didn't register. So I thought to myself, well, these babies, they were so beautiful. They were like, I have a real soft spot for Appaloosas and spotted goats and everything that with spots on them. So I saw these babies, and that's what got me. I saw a Grullia baby, and I saw a little Appaloosa baby with blue eyes, right? Got me good. And I thought, well, shoot, I could probably rescue those two pairs. And maybe if I put it on my Instagram, I could ask people if they were down to help me do this. Cause it was an actor strike. There's no money coming in. I can't be responsibly taking in giant animals, right? Feed bills, all the things. And maybe I could trade content and show them my process of taking in two unhandled mares with their babies and the whole process from gentling to then adopting the mares out. And I was going to keep the babies. That was my plan. And I put them on my Instagram with my PayPal. And I said, okay, this is my offering. If anyone is down, because I also had a lot of time on my hands. I mean, I'm not going anywhere. I'm literally just in the mountains, right? With nothing but an internet signal. And I thought, well, I'll do this. If anyone's interested, here's my PayPal. This is how much, boom, the money was there.
Wow, that's awesome.
I was like, whoa, that was almost too fast to make sense. And I thought, okay. And people were like, where are these? What is this? How can you get more? And I was like, well, yeah. So I posted another photo. Here's another mama baby pair. Boom. Again, covered, bail covered.
Okay. So Dawn, hold on for a second for everybody to listen. So you get the mother and the baby, and then the money's coming in so they can get the mare once they're gentled. How's it work?
Well, no. So you have to pay a bail. So you go on a lot of these places there are these places called direct ship lots or auction houses. And some of them do online sales, online bailouts, right?
Okay.
So what they'll do is they'll post a horse. They'll say, this horse has till next Monday. And then that horse will be online on that particular site, that auction house or that direct ship lot or whatever they're doing, whatever. There's a few of them. Like now that I'm in this world, I know all of them. But at the time, sure, I didn't know. And you have sometimes 72 hours for that bail to be raised. Sometimes it's anywhere. It could be $400. It could be $800. For these pairs, it was anywhere between $1,100 to $1,200.
And they're just wild horses.
Some of them, not all of them. No, a lot of them are actually handled, saddle riding. They'll ride them in the videos. You can see them. For whatever reason, they've just ended up here. That's why they call it the slaughter pipeline, is because a lot of times, even home, like you think you have a horse and you're selling it on Craigslist, and someone shows up and they're like, I'll buy your horse. And it's actually a trader, right? So a trader, this is what they do for a living, is they'll go around and buy cheap horses, put them all up on their property, and then trailer them to these auctions. And once they are in the trader's hands, they are in the kill pen pipeline. And once those traders bring your sweet little horse that you thought was going to a family because he probably told you, oh, my girlfriend just wanted something to ride on trails, right? he takes that horse, or even she takes that horse. I'm not saying it's all men, but there's a lot of men traders. And then, but this is their business, right? There's not really anything. I mean, to me, there's a lot of things wrong with it, but in, you know, in a sense, this is just business finds business, right? When there's places to make money, it will be made.
Right.
So I try not to hold grudges or have enemies in this world, because I also can recognize the need for movement where these horses are concerned. So the trader will pick those horses up, haul them to these auctions. They will run through the auctions. Either other traders will pick them up or private homes will pick them up. And if another trader gets them, they load into their trailer and they just flip until they end up at the auction that's called Bowie, or one of these kill auctions. So a kill auction, if a trader or a private home does not purchase this animal, the house purchases it. And when the house purchases it, the house is the kill buyer. That Monday, those horses will be loaded. They'll be chipped the day before and microchipped for USDA. And then they will be loaded onto semi trucks and they get sent to there's points along the US-Mexican border that they just go to. And that's the end of the story for them. That is the end of the pipeline.
Mexico and Canada. Canada as well, right?
Mexico and Canada. Yeah, I'm down at the south end of of the pipeline experience. So I'm the most versed with what happens on that front line.
Well, the other thing too, just to interject a little bit, sorry to interrupt, is when they do this, and I only know this because of being on a couple episodes with some of the wild horse people, but they're also they're treated horribly once they get them, and they put them in these trucks. They just they're abused and not fed, and all kinds of really brutal things that just sounds disgusting.
It's honestly brutal. And when you are there in person on that front line, you know, I call it the front line because it feels like a war on the horse. There's no doubt about it. And these animals, especially the wild ones, and you know, that's what really they all pull my heart, because you'll walk into a direct ship pen down there at the house after the auction, and you know the house has bought these horses and you know what their fate is. And I will go down there and I will just walk around and I will call out tag numbers, because this is it for them. And they're sweet horses. And some of them are absolutely, you could tell they're family horses, and they get there in all different ways. You know, like there was an elderly woman who got admitted to a nursing home, and her herd of thoroughbreds ended up at this lot. And this was just last month. And she had reached out to one of the rescues and said, please help my babies. I don't want them to be there, but we had no choice. So you get situations like this where there's just herd dispersals, or a sweet old lady and her babies just end up at this kill auction. And it is absolute. It's like you're on a timeline and you're raising as much money as you can, and it's all crowdfunded.
Yeah.
That's all we work off of when we're down there. And we work to try to identify these horses and get them pledged out, get placement and other rescues. You know, it's like, it's a crazy thing. I'm like, how did I get myself here? And what?
Well, there's a reason. No, there's a reason why you're there. Because if you weren't who you are, and I've got to know your personality over the last little while, nobody else could be doing what you're doing. There's a reason why you're there. I believe that.
Man. Well, I have no fear, right? When I entered this game, there is a term still that floats around called mass bailing. And it's a really weird world, this rescue world, because there's a lot of harassment. And I entered this very naively, and I thought, well, boy, this is because I'm coming from a completely altruistic heart space. This is not my job. I do not make a single penny from anything that I do with these horses. I'm an actress, and I have a great income with that, where that's concerned. I am fully in love with the animal kingdom. And there was a moment when I was going through all that turmoil that I had that surrender moment where I dropped to my knees and I said, you know, God, and I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, but I do still consider a big force, a creation force that's alive and is moving things.
Higher power.
Yeah, I absolutely believe in that. And I dropped down on my knees, and I, you know, even at the time I was even reading some Christian books just to see if that's, you know, where I could find the truth. And there's stuff everywhere, right? I can read Buddhism books, I can read Christian, I can read the Bible, I can read everything. I'm not averse to anything, and I'm not stuck in any box, but I dropped to my knees at that time and I said, you know, God, if you're there, if this is a thing I can do, which is talk to you, then I promise if you get me through this moment in my life, I will
Take a deep breath.
Ah. It's so powerful though. I will be a servant to the animal kingdom. I literally made that promise and I'm doing it, which is, it's so wild to me that this stuff is like stuff that you see in the movies, right? That you read in books or something. It doesn't really happen to you in your actual life. But I promised that and I'm doing it. And I've sacrificed a lot of things that you would think that, like maybe like a family, like a regular family with a real, guys, it's hard to meet a man that can keep up with something like me.
Oh, I figured that one out.
Oh,
You're a
yeah.
force. You're a force.
I'm a complete force and it's amazing because I can exact change. I can generate energy and I can shift things. But boy, when you just want the quiet things in life, it's almost like you're not allowed to have those in some way. Or you get different ones,
Well, simple's hard. Simple's hard. Everybody thinks simple's easy. Simple's a lot harder than it, that. The word doesn't really mean what it is, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
Gosh, you're so right. You're so right. So this was my journey, I guess. And I'm living up to it in every sense of the promise, right? I guess he called it in.
Well, so you saw this. We're going back now. You've been going to all these things and I guess the auctions or whatever they are.
Oh, let me tell you the rest of that with the mama baby thing. So okay. I just, I watched how the energy moved and it's less about the money and it was more about when you touch something and the energy touches you back, right? And money is just that. Money is an energy.
Sure.
And when you are in any business, in any endeavor, if you do something and it reflects itself to you, you need to do more of that, right? That's a yes from the universe.
Right.
And so when I had that reflection, when I had that hit back so quickly, so intensely, you can't ignore that. So I took that sign and I said, there's another one. There's another one. There's another one. And I only focused on that reflection. I didn't think at all, how am I going to feed all these horses? I didn't even think, how am I going to transport them back to the property? I didn't even have a trailer big enough for more than 4.
I didn't even think about that.
No, I didn't think about any of it. I was so focused on that yes from the universe that I locked eyes with it and I kept moving it was telling me what to do. So I just listened and I let it guide me. And I ended up in 72 hours, I rescued every single mama baby pair that auction house had. And that's what you call a mass bail. Oh my God. So that ended up being, it was 14 mama baby pairs and then 2 extras. So, 28, 29, 30. I mean, it was 29. There was 29 because it was one extra one that I added on. It was a mare that she just was there and I had the funds. And, I didn't know how horse rescue worked. I didn't know you're not supposed to use all the money that you raise just to rescue the horse. I didn't know that you were supposed to raise like triple the amount per horse so that you could cover their feed, their vetting, their transportation. I didn't know any of that, right? So I didn't do any of that. I was just completely new to that. I never even followed a horse rescue in my whole life. Never even knew what the whole thing was about. None of it. So, okay, now I have 29 horses. And I was like, okay, next step. What do we do? Okay, now we got to get the horses out because now every day that 29 horses are there, they're charging me $15 a day to hold them as because that's what they do. I didn't know, but that's what they do. So you can't just leave your animals there. I'm like, oh God, I need transportation now. I need transport now. But I don't have any extra money for that because I used all the money just to bail the horse. Okay, so now I had someone watching me, right? I had a few people watching me at that time. And they were like, what on earth is Dawn doing? And one of them was a cameraman from Yellowstone. And he goes, Dawn, I want to stand up. I want to pay half of your transportation costs because I know you're going to have to get some trailers. I was like, oh my God, thank you. Okay, great. So I got half. I'll work on the other half. So I kept raising the money and I got another half. So now I had enough to rent these 2 cowboys in town and get 2 stock trailers that could hold all of these horses that I just bailed. And the night before the haul, one of the trucks breaks down because he's borrowing this other truck from. It was a nightmare. So we ended up having to push one day. We got a truck and trailer, ended up doing it, went there, picked them up, separated the mamas and the babies. So all the foals went in one trailer. All the wild, unhandled reservation mares went in the other trailer. And we hauled them all back to the property that had truly 2 areas to house horses. We had one little paddock that I had the goats in, and then a big 7-acre piece. But as I was doing all this, my mom, who was watching the craziness that I was doing, she's like, my sister, and I have a sister who's a vet, right? So that helps me too, just knowing that world. And my sister was like, Dawn, you have to quarantine these horses. You have to quarantine. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. Like, don't freak out. I'm going to do it. So I threw up a hotline on one of the edges of the small goat pen, and I brought all of the horses and put them all in the goat pen. And I was like, okay, look at all these wild, it was beautiful, wild, unhandled horses just running around as a herd in this little pen, and skinny, rough looking, but I had them and they were safe. And I was like, you're not going to die. And then now I'm like, oh my God, you might die. How am I going to feed you guys? No, but it wasn't an option. You know, what this did, what throwing yourself off the deep end does is it forces you to work outside of your comfort zone. I had never asked for help from anyone. I did everything myself all the time. Now my only option was to ask for help. And I went full on. I posted on Facebook to the community. I'm like, hi, everyone. I'm Dawn. I just moved here. I need your help. If anyone can donate anything, I just rescued 29 horses. And people just started showing up. The first day I had this woman show up with a trailer full of hay, and her name was Debbie Miner. And she has, since that day, she was the first person to bring hay to donate. She has become our adoption coordinator and our liaison to the community at large, and has absolutely made Moon Mountain what it is today. I really believe it. And because what she did was she vetted me to the whole small town, and the small town went, oh, she's legit. Okay, we're here. And they showed up in force and built gates and brought hay and donated and have given homes. And it's been an absolute community extravaganza that I wouldn't trade for the world. And that's, that's what it did. And from there, other people saw Tractor Supply. Hal, who's the CEO of Tractor Supply, saw my Instagram through Yellowstone and found me, hunted me down, because I didn't even see his message, hunted me down through one of the producers, and had truckloads of corrals brought in and feeders and waterers. And it has just been an advocate from the start. Got a feed connection with Purina. So we ended up getting feed from the very beginning to feed all of these babies and help, and, nourishment experts just telling us how to manage the nutrient levels and how to feed. And so, that's what happens when you listen to the universe guiding you. And that's what I really believe happened here.
That's also that saying, if you build it, they will come. And that's what happened with your neighbors.
Oh, I say it to myself. Yeah, I say it to myself all the time. I tell that to other people because there's no truer statement. There's no truth, but it's scary. It's scary if you think too far ahead at all the risk. That's the trick, is you don't want to make a dumb move, right? If you don't have the universe guiding you, you have to know how to listen first. Because if I hadn't gotten that, if I maybe if I had been thinking money, right? How am I going to make money? Like maybe I could get a bunch of horses and make money off the horses. That's not the universe telling me which direction to go. That's me trying to capitalize on something and take advantage of it. In this instance, if you can listen to your heart and your heart is guiding you, it's like that's where the miracles happen. You can listen to that guidance system and everything will be put in the right place to make it work.
Well, I also have this philosophy too. Sometimes what you don't know is the best. You don't know what you can't do.
Yeah.
So if you don't know you can't do it, you just go ahead and do it. And guess what? You didn't know what you were doing. And guess what? You ended up doing it.
No, but I also have this really solid ingrained feature in me as Dawn, and we're going to figure it out. I had a guy bring my conics from LA. It went to another pasture, and then he picked it up from that pasture and brought it to the property. And he was telling me, oh, I'm going to come on Thursday. Oh, no, not next week. I'm going to cut. He calls me. He's like, I'm at your gate. I'm like, you have a 40-foot Connex at my gate, right? And we haven't worked out how I'm going to unload it. How are we getting it off your trailer? He's like, oh, we'll figure it out. And I just thought,
What is a corn? I don't know what is that thing? Cornex.
oh, it's a shipping container. It's like a 40-foot semi, like the back end of a semi.
Okay.
Okay. So it's a 40-foot shipping container. And I've bought 2 of them now because that's how I store things to keep it out of the weather.
Right.
But it's not like you can you need like heavy machinery to pull it off of these trailer. Like you need to be prepared. You need a little bit of a prep, day maybe.
Yeah, sure.
But he's like, no, he's like, you got a tree? I was like, yeah. He's like, I'll just back it up to the tree and we'll just hook it up to the tree and I'll just pull it. It'll just drag it off. I was like, yeah, buddy, this is this. But you know what you find in rural communities? That saying.
Right.
You hear people say it all the time. We'll figure it out. We'll get it done.
Yeah. That's cool.
That is just, it's a mentality, and it's one that I have. I host that mentality actively all the time. Oh, you got 29 horses? It's fine. We'll figure it out. Because when you say it, it's like a magic spell, and you do.
That's cool. That's really cool.
For real, 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 for real.
And we'll be right back. We are supported by PrepVet, providing stem cell therapy for pets.
As a pet lover, did you know your pet can benefit from the incredible healing power of stem cell therapy? Prep Therapy offers a groundbreaking solution taken right from your pet's own blood. Say goodbye to joint pain, arthritis, kidney and liver conditions, and more. They'll experience faster recovery, increased vitality, and extended quality of life without the need for surgery or harmful drugs. Put the wag back in their tail and discover Prep Therapy today at prepvet.com. Save 10% with promo code FurRealPodcast, covered by most pet insurance.
Okay, it's official. We are very much in the final sprint to Election Day. And face it, between debates, polling releases, even court appearances, it can feel exhausting, even impossible to keep up with. I'm Brad Milkey. I'm the host of Start Here, the daily podcast from ABC News. And every morning, my team and I get you caught up on the day's news in a quick, straightforward way that's easy to understand, with just enough context so you can listen, get it, and go on with your day. So, kickstart your morning. Start smart with Start Here and ABC News, because staying informed shouldn't feel overwhelming.
Okay. So now you've got the community helping you.
Yep.
And now you've done the 29 horses. Let's start moving forward. Because you're doing all kinds of other different views and stuff. I want to hear all of it.
Well, I got 29 horses, and now they're in quarantine, and now Purina shows up, and Purina there's a rep from Purina, and she's like, I'm going to be passing through. I want to drop off some full pellets, some milk pellets, because I had all these babies, right? And the sad thing about it is these babies, they did not all belong to the mamas that they came with. They were mismatched.
Oh.
So when they showed up and they were unloaded, and I thought I had this like Garden of Eden, suddenly I had babies wandering around trying to milk off of mares that were like, you're not mine, get away from me. And they were skinny and they were dying. And I was like, oh my God, what do I do now? And there was one nurse mare, her name's Nightingale. I still have her. And she was feeding 5 babies at one time, 5 babies. And I was just like, oh my God, I did not expect this to be what was I thought those were their babies. I thought these were their babies. They were not their babies. So I had to quick make decisions and work with some of the local horse people in the community, and just, and I roundtabled a lot of my decisions. I didn't just kamikaze things. I asked a lot of questions, and I have, because of my sister and having the vet connections that I had an immediate connection to a really incredible vet named Cameron down in Pilot Point, who runs an incredible sports medicine for horses. And she specializes in mares and foals. So I had her as my lifeline, along with all the people that have had horses their whole life. And we ultimately decided we had to separate some of these babies out because I needed to supplement their nutrition. They were not getting to nurse. They needed more, right? So I had to start separating out, and I had to start treating and doctoring and doing all these things. And I had to make catch pens out of panels, and and Dr. Wild Horses through panels, which I did, you just figured it out and you do it. And so I did it.
So, hey, pause for a sec. Now, how long ago did this start? Because I'm thinking about where you are. I mean, that wasn't, what, a year and a half ago or something like that?
No, this is a year ago.
A year in the last year. Wow.
Yep. This was September. I did all this. And so, from there, from the Purina rep showing up with those full pellets, she's like, I'm going to drop some off. I was like, okay. I thought she was bringing me a bucket. She brought me a pallet. So I had I don't know, it was like 40 buckets of this full pellet feed. And I was like, well, geez, I don't have that many babies. And right when she dropped those, another giant dump of foals hit the rescue circuit, I guess you could call it, right? And I was looking at these posts, because now I'm in and I'm seeing everything, and people just saw me rescue 29 horses, so they're like, Dawn, you should rescue these guys. And I was like, what is happening? And I read about, rescues were saying they had never seen at that time that many foals hit these kill pens. There were just foals everywhere. It was like a swarm of locusts, but they're babies, And I was like, oh my God, I have all these full pellets. I could feed these babies. So I was like, okay, maybe I could just rescue 10 just foals, right?
Yeah.
No adults, just to supplement the feed I just got. I felt guilty now. So I had made friends with this rescue, Michael, the Flying L up in Canada, Michael Lair. Someone put me in contact with him to just, learn a little bit more about what I was doing. And I was talking to him and he's like, how many? And I told him about the babies. He's like, how many babies do you want to get? How many can you get? And I was like, well, I could probably take in 10. He's like, okay, I'll put it out to my donors. He put it out to his donors. And in 1 hour, he sent me a PayPal of just everything to cover the bail for the 10 babies. I was like, oh my God. Okay. So then the ladies post that I saw that posted all the babies up there in Colorado. This was a Wind River reservation. They had done a roundup and they had separated all the mamas, sent them to slaughter. And these were all their foals. And there was like 100 of them. Okay. This is like not a joke. You'd see like an entire pen full of 100 foals. It's an oddity. You would never see this in real life, right? It's very weird to see that. And I called the lady. I reached out to the lady online that I saw those pictures that I saw online, and she had a transport running, a giant transport. And I asked her if I could share it with her. And she was like, absolutely, put whoever you want on it, no cost. And I was like, wow. So these are these things that you just, everything was free. Everything, every move. So, the universe is going, keep going this way, Dawn, do this. The Red Sea is parting, So I put my numbers down for 10 and I had them transported to a quarantine down in Texas. And then they stay there, quarantine, usually 30 days, sometimes less, depends on how sick they get. And this group got real sick. And this group got so sick that I made a decision to pick them up because I was worried that they would die. And when I went to pick them up, the girl that was running the quarantine, who's a sweet person and just wanted the best for the babies, she's like, Dawn, I have another 5 here or 6 here that are really going to die unless could you take them and just try? She's like, I'm making it worse. There's something I'm doing. It's making it worse. And the thing that happens with these babies when they hit these auctions or these holding facilities is it's a pathogen called strangles, and it affects the lymph nodes in the body of the horses, and infection builds up, and it really hits these babies hard because once you take them off their mamas, they lose their immunity and they can't fight this anymore. And so you get strep, you get staphylococcus, you get everything you can imagine. But these babies, they get hit really hard with the strangles. And when I went to go pick up the 10, she added 6 more to the transport. And one of those babies' name was Star. We named her Star. And she looked like she had been in a bar fight. That's what her face looked like. And this is I hear from a lot of people that this was the rescue that really got them following us, because we brought them home. We got home at about 2 a.m. And with the volunteers, I had people meeting us at 2 a.m. They slept in their trucks to be able to receive us there on the property. And we unloaded everybody. It started to rain, and here's this baby Star, and she just looked like on death's doorstep. And I said, guys, you can all go home, please. I know you've been sleeping in your trucks right now. I can't sleep knowing that this baby is here like this. I'm going to stay. I'm going to doctor her. And so they were like, Dawn, we're not leaving. It's an emotional endeavor, truly, because these women, and they're all women that stayed and did this with me. And they're like, we can't go to sleep either. Are you kidding me? Yeah. And that was one of those images I sent you, was of Star. It's a dark image, and it's just headlamps lighting me, and I've got gloves on, and I'm just giving her medicine. Right. So I hit her with penicillin. I mean, we hit her with the kitchen sink. We gave her vitamin IVs, everything I could think of to try to help her. We mashed up feed and gave her just anything for nourishment and sustenance. And she ate it, but her lips were so swollen with that strangles. It manifests as lesions all over the face, for her at least. Oh. And she couldn't eat. She just had drool coming out of her face. I mean, it was an absolute nightmare, the way that poor baby showed up. And we stayed with her, and we doctored her day and day. And I pushed that infection out every single day and treated her with penicillin every single day. And eventually that girl, she pulled through, but it was, it was the Wild West of rescue for sure. And it was in the very beginning. And I made some incredible contacts then too, because they watched what we did. And, my main girl, Emma, showed up as a volunteer for that rescue and never left. She's like, this is my dream. I want to work here.
Oh, that's cool.
And so I was like, well, good thing, because you can't leave.
I need you.
You cannot leave. Nobody gives an injection like Emma, boy. She'll shoot that baby so fast. You'll turn your head. You blink, you won't even see that she did it. I was like, did you just give that? It's, so it just attracted the right people, and, because we're doing it for the right reasons. And
sure.
And that, that was how it started. And then each rescue is its own fingerprint. It's got its own signature to it. From after that, there was an Arabian rescue. I picked up a nice group of haters from that rescue, which, if you're in the horse rescue or animal rescue community, you're very well versed in that. And
what do you mean by haters?
Oh my God. It is like, I guess what I've decided is that if you do anything good, that adage that they say there's a devil on every level.
Right.
There is a faction of people that hunt rescues down, and it is their sole purpose to strip their donor base and to capture their narrative and to ruin your rescue. And you ask, why on earth would you want to do that? Oh. You have something you want to?
No, I was going to say, the way the world is right now, and some of the stuff that's going on politically and all that, unfortunately, I think we found that there's a lot of bad people out there that I never knew they existed.
Well, and that's something I don't even like to consign to the thought, to the ideology that there are bad people, right?
Well, that's a bad person.
That's a bad person. Well, but they have ideas or justifications in their mind that make them make the choices and see the reality that they see. And I really believe that trauma does that to someone.
Well, justification still doesn't make you a good person. It makes you, if you're a bad person, you're a bad person. You can justify it all you want.
I know it.
At least that's my opinion. I may have a stronger opinion than you.
I feel, but it's okay, right? It's okay, because that is really what it all comes down to, and it's,
yeah.
It just, it blew my mind when it started, and they attacked me, and they came for me. Like they would post every day videos and commentary and try to they were really at me. And if I hadn't have been the person that I am, with the fortitude that I have and the strength and the commitment and the power and the connections and the resources and the platform, they may have actually accomplished something for sure. Because I watched them do it to other rescues, but I am not that person. And I went and hired legal right away. And now I'm in a lawsuit I have 8 people named in that lawsuit that were all attacking me at the time, that I've now straitjacketed with legal Good. Proceedings. And that's just how, because I could not, I was
fathom it. It's weird.
It's really weird.
And
it's really weird. I have some thoughts and ideas, because a lot of the tracking them back it leads to other rescues.
Oh,
And my thought process there is that I'm in it for the heart, for the animals, but not that doesn't mean everybody is, right?
right.
Other people are living a fear-based experience where all they see is lack. I hear a lot of terminology like there's only a finite number of donors, right? Which I don't believe in that. I believe that all the time people are moving and it's shifting, and if people are caring, and I think I came into this game and I brought all new people. So in one sense, I'm like, I brought my own donors. Everybody else, if that's how you believe, then that's fine.
You're jealous.
Yeah, well, they're scared, right? They have anxiety. They have rescues, and maybe they can't make their feed bills, and they're afraid. So they want to
That
blame.
has nothing to do with you. I know. I mean, we can go on that. Let's move. I get so frustrated with
Yeah,
stuff
don't
like
even
that.
give it power, right? Don't even give it power.
Yeah,
But it's a reality, and it's
yeah,
a sad reality. But I think the good thing about it is that I'm shifting it because I refuse to get locked into any sort of victim consciousness in any way, shape, or form.
sure.
So I put them over there in that corner, and they're using their energy to like do that now. And now I can focus on what I came here to do, which is help these horses.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. That's it.
So, let's dig into something because I mean, trust me, I'd probably be in a lot of trouble if I was there and had to deal with them. Let's just put it that way. But anyway, so now
Yeah.
one of the things, because I mean, right now is the time of year. Actually, it's probably just finishing when all these guys are doing the culling of these animals, and they eventually come up to some of the areas you're in. But instead of going there a little bit, I know we had talked when we were talking about it, you have some different ideas on how you're saying there's too many horses, and how to fix that. Can you talk about that? Because one of the things you talked about I thought was really interesting is about finding other people in smaller areas of being able to do rescue or whatever. Can you go with your philosophy and some of your ideas, what you're trying to do? Because I think anytime, regardless of the system we have now, good or bad or whatever, anything can always be better. And maybe there's two approaches that both work together and together, So
Yeah.
let's just talk about what you were talking about because I found it really interesting.
Well, I'll start with saying I don't think that there's too many horses. I would fill the world with horses, and I think it would be the most magical, beautiful. I want them running down the street free like cows in India, right? That's me.
Yeah. I'm not saying you said that, but I know too many. You just go to your description. I better shut my big mouth.
Yeah. No, but even though I don't feel that way, I don't get to just decide how the world works all the time, right? So what I see, and I'm very solution based. Yeah. I don't like to bicker. I don't like to fight. Anytime there's a line drawn in the sand, there's a line drawn in the sand, and you now can't go to the other side, right? I'm not a line drawer.
Right,
I believe more in, if someone else draws a line, I'm going to go to the other side of the line and sort of like look around. I want to know what's going on over there, because that's going to give me the information that I need to mount the best response, the best solution, the winning move, right? It's
right,
literally like a chess game to me. And I don't focus on any one faction as the target or the enemy. That's not my way. And maybe other people do, and that's okay, because if the universe or God put that in their heart that they have to draw the line, then maybe the line needs to exist so that I can go behind it, right? So this is the way I see life. With the horses, what I see from rescuing from the front line is there's extra horses that are being thrown away. I want to fix that. There's no trash to me, right? There's just, these horses don't have a place to go.
right.
So for a second, I tried to bring them all to my property. I had to stop, because I have a responsibility to the ones I bring in. And it's not just to try to keep them all alive. It's also to give them good homes and find little kids that want to love on them and give them a good experience and a forever place. So that wasn't sustainable. I go to the front line. I see all the other rescues that are there, and I see their nervous systems, and I recognize that that's unsustainable. She's not gonna be able to do this forever. That woman can only do it for so long, and there's only 3 of them. So how many realistically are we really saving? And I thought, okay, that's not sustainable. So then I said, girls, like, keep doing what you're doing. No one's doing it better than you right now on these front lines. I'm going to trace this back to the source. I'm going to try to pinch this pipeline. That was the imagery in my head. That was the conversation in my mind. And the majority of the horses that I see on that front line that have nobody showing up for them but these rescues, and even then it's hard for them, are the wild horses. And they're not BLM horses necessarily. Okay, there are some, but the majority are reservation horses. Now, these are horses that are rounded up on Indian reservations. Majority of them are coming from the Navajo reservation because it is such a large swath of land, and they don't operate the same as the BLM. The BLM they do have some regulations in place. They do put those markers on their necks, the tattoos, the freeze brands, and they do have an incentive program in place. Some people do take advantage of that program, meaning you can go adopt a BLM Mustang and you have to hold it for a year. You get paid for that Mustang after that. But some, just like any program, people will take advantage of it. And
Sure, that's what people are into.
yeah, but that's natural, right? Nature takes advantage of things. Water flows to the lowest point. It's going to happen. You can't look at it like it's the enemy. It's natural process. So, okay, so now you're getting BLM Mustangs showing up in these kill pens because those people, they give it sanctuary for a year. After the year, they collect their money,
Right.
and then they move it on.
Right.
Okay, maybe someone else will give it sanctuary. They don't know, right? They're done.
Right.
So those horses will show up. Reservation horses, though, don't have any of those programs. They have a contractor that has a permit that can purchase from the natives there on the Navajo reservation. That contractor then has the choice. He either drives it south 3 hours to the USDA checkpoint, or the connection that he has there at that checkpoint, and sells them to that guy. And then that guy brings them to the checkpoint. However that works out, that's between them, right? And then, or the other option is he drives them 14, 15 hours from Arizona. This particular one I'm speaking because I know what that route looks like. And I know, I don't know how many hours it is, but it's something like this. So drives them to Bowie in Texas and gets a couple $100 extra for each animal. And then whatever, hands up in the air, we're done. It's done. Right. So those horses, though, those are really sad cases to me. And they are so beautiful, those horses, but nobody speaks up for them. They run through a loose sale at 9 a.m. on a Sunday. Some trader might pick one up that has a draft cross or maybe a baby because they think that they can flip those babies somewhere, but that's it. That's how it goes. And in about 4 days, all of those babies, those foals, will come down with strangles because they're now in the petri dish. They've caught it in the trailer ride on the way there. They drink out of the water receptacles that are full of these pathogens. And if they don't get antibiotic interception, they succumb, hands down, without a doubt, every single one of them. So that's what I saw. And I saw pens full of those wild horses. So I said, let me go that direction. Let me see what I can figure out. And cut to a year down the line, I have now made inroads with a lot of interesting people on the Navajo reservation. I know a lot more about what's happening there. I have started I'm going to put together, I am putting together, I'm going to launch the very first Wild Horse Reservation Challenge on Navajo reservation land using rounded up reservation horses. And we are hoping that this powwow, it'll happen next year, 2025 in September. And it'll be a 3-day powwow, sort of like a Burning Man for wild horses is what I envision. It'll be tent camping, hogans, teepees, all the things. It'll be really fun. And it'll be all about the Wild Horse Challenge. And the point of this was to create an economy around the wild horses and bridge a connection to these Navajo trainers, because there's some wisdom in there that's not being, they just don't have a platform. They don't have a voice.
Okay, well, hold on for a second. So when you say Wild Horse Challenge, what does that mean specifically other than the 3 days?
We're going to take 30 to 60 horses, and they have 2 to 3 months. We're still working out the exact logistics of that, but the more we're learning about these trainers, the more we realize maybe it only has to be 60 days because they're so good. So they'll have 60 days to train a wild horse from start to finish.
Wow.
And We'll bring in brands and celebrities. I mean, I've got so many Yellowstone actors behind me on it, and just make it a really cool experience and give it a platform to raise awareness to what's happening with these wild horses. So that's the idea, and it'll be a powwow. And at the end of that 60 days, we'll have a 3-day competition. And at the end of the 3-day competition, those horses can be auctioned off to private homes, and that money going back to the trainers and to the program, and it'll all be run by a nonprofit. There'll be nobody making money off of it. This is a real, again, it's the same thing. We have an aim to try to help the plight of these horses. And this is my effort to pinch the pipeline.
I think that's really, really, I love it. It's creative and it gives more value to the horses. And it also, it puts a spotlight on it too. I think it's a great thing.
That's what we want to do. Well, because you know what?
Yeah.
It came from a couple of different directions, right? So I heard this woman go on Instagram talking about how she was at one of these lobbying efforts in Congress, and the opposing counsel for slaughter, she's on the side of slaughter.
Of course.
She said in so many words, she's like, well, no one's going to pass the SAFE Act because the wild horses need an outlet. Essentially what she's saying is, if we can't pass the SAFE Act, which is the bill that makes it illegal to slaughter, to ship equines to slaughter outside of the country, we can't pass the SAFE Act if we have all these wild horses that still need to be slaughtered. There's no other place for them.
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the things for you guys who are listening to. One of the things that they're doing, if you've listened to that one episode we had with the American Wild Horse, is they're doing fertility now too, by the way. So one of the things that they're trying to do to slow it down is infertility. They're actually doing fertility darts to keep them from getting pregnant, to have more babies. They start weaning them down versus culling them and killing them, which I think is a smart way to do it. It's one thing to do.
It is smart, but if you think of the number, I mean, even on her podcast, you guys talked about 90,000. There's 90,000 wild horses in America. Is that the figure?
And I think it's down to like 72 or something. Yeah.
It's down now. I thought BLM had that 72 that included burros. Anyways, I'm not the figure person, right? But
me either.
If you've ever rescued 29 wild horses,
yeah,
you know how labor intensive it is just to get a vaccine in them,
sure,
right? To be able to administer this. And PZP is the leading contraception out there. It is the safest. It's been used. It's like ivermectin, but contraception for horses, right? It's just meaning it's been around forever. It's proven to be extremely safe. I heard her say it was a non-hormonal vaccine. Maybe there's alternates there, because from what I know, it's created from pig ovaries, which is really interesting, because I've done a lot of research on this, because I'm looking to create it myself, right? So, but it was important to me to try to find a synthetic version of that instead of using pig ovaries, because here we're trying to save animals from slaughter and using parts that are already from animals that are being slaughtered actively. So that was weird for me.
Works against itself.
But anyway, but that drug, think about how much manpower that takes. You need veterinarians, you need people to administer that. Out on these reservations, they have a hard time just getting a veterinarian to come to do normal things for them. There's no vets there.
Right.
So what a huge endeavor to organize. It's just like and those numbers and the PZP itself, it's good for a year or 6 months, needs a booster and then another booster.
They're going to do it every year.
Yeah. And it's every year, right? Every year. There are other forms of contraception that they're exploring, mRNA vaccines that last for 5 years. They sterilize. They actually work in blocking the stallions from being able to procreate. I don't like sterilization. I think it's a little creepy. It's like, how can you make the decision to stop a genetic line?
Right.
I don't like that. I'm a big fan of PZP from what I've researched, what I've learned. I would like to know more about the synthetic alternatives, not using pig ovaries, right? All these things, but I know I'm going to find it, because it's impossible to not. So, but then that's me ripping the Connex off the back of the truck. We're gonna figure it out. I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
So, but yes, I think you're right, and I have a solution for this, and I can't announce it yet, because I have agreed to announce it in May at the Near Future Summit.
Oh, cool.
It's a tech summit that happens in California. One of my dear friends, Zem, runs it, and scientists from all of the world, tech moguls, everybody who's anybody, it's the Elon world. It's the whole, it's everybody, scientists, doctors. But I told her what I'm doing, and I told her what my plan is. And she's like, okay, can you announce it? Can you announce it there? So I agreed to do that. And it'll give me time too, because right now I have a group, a roundtable. I have a physicist. I have a Space Force engineer. I have NASA code writers. I'm really doing something that's really, really big, and it's really for real. So I have tiptoed around it even in my own content, and I'm doing the same thing here. But trust me when I tell you that I have a very conscious mode of operation in what I'm doing, and the rollout that I'm creating. If anyone ever had a 5-year plan, it's me right now. And I tell you what, I've never had a 5-year plan in my whole life. This is the first
Me either.
time.
Never. I've never had.
Never. I don't believe in plans, but now it's like, it's not even a plan. It's like a vision I've been given. Truly.
Sure.
I see it. I see what's going to happen. I see how it's going to work. And without a doubt, I have a solution for the problem. But before I stand up on the mountaintop and yell it out, I want to make sure I have all my ducks in a row. So this is me with my ducks in a row.
That's pretty cool. And I think if whatever the solution may be, what you're working on, hopefully it is one of the solutions. And I always tell people there's not one solution. There's a lot of solutions. And
No.
And I think that those guys that like Amelia had on the show was they have best intentions, and you have best intentions too. So
yeah, we all do it together.
Yeah, it's a team effort. It's not an individual effort. And you guys don't have an agenda.
Yep.
Whereas the people that are coming after you, they have an agenda. One is to get enough money to survive or make money from doing a rescue or whatever the reason is. Your agenda is a little bit different. Your agenda is to take care of the animals. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bottom line.
My agenda is to pinch the pipeline, and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is it. This is not a job. I mean, I do not consider this is a mission. This is in full on mission of like without a doubt mission. I have my day job.
There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, that's it. Bottom pipeline. This is a mission, and I'm on it. And oh boy, if I thought I was strong before, this is.
Acting may be one of the things you do, but maybe this is your real purpose here.
Well, acting is giving me a platform to do this. Right?
Yeah, well, sure. Well, it's a vehicle. It's funny when you were talking about money. I forget the way you described it. I always look at money as a vehicle. That's all it is.
Yeah, energy.
Yeah. Oh, you call it energy. I call it vehicle. Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly. Yellowstone has been amazing for me. Yellowstone is a door opening structure. It just anything I want to move towards, it opens the door for. But maybe it's because I'm moving towards the right doors, right?
Right.
I'm not trying to open doors to make myself rich and buy a mansion somewhere on an island. I'm opening doors so that I can help horses. And those doors just keep opening.
What happened to the goats?
Oh, the goats. I love the goats. No, they're still there. Well, there's not 70 of them anymore, right? So on one of the vet days, my vet that I love, Cameron, she came down to do some geldings. And one of the vets that she came with had told me that another vet in the community was looking for a herd of goats. And for their kids, they weren't going to ever go anywhere. They weren't going to eat them or none of that. It was just going to be pets. And they were going to have a little herd of goats to eat all the vegetation. And so I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe this is the time. And I loaded 30 goats onto their trailer to take to Texas. Oh man, I still think about them too, but I know that they're in a good place. I can go visit them if I want. And I just felt like the horses had taken over the property, at least energy wise. And I needed to focus on them.
Sure.
And
yeah, the horse thing's different than the goat thing. I mean, it's just you've got something. You're on a whole different train now.
Yeah, big time. The goats were great. The goats taught me a lot about natural medicine. And if anybody knows, goats are so hard to keep alive in so many ways. I mean, if they can catch anything, they're going to catch it, and they will die, and they'll give you maybe they'll give you 14 hours notice. Yeah. So you have to mobilize quick, and you have to use everything that you can think of, and you have to have such a keen eye to pick it out as soon as you can, right? So I felt like they showed up for a reason. They came to hone my awareness so that when these babies showed up, I had such a keen eye. I can drive through the property and go, what's wrong with that hoof? You know, what's wrong with that back leg? What's going on with that eye? I can see it from a mile away. And I'm a lot of times I'm one of the first people to catch things. But I think the goats taught me that.
Yeah, it's funny that when I listen to you, and I mean, now that you're my new best friend, is that
Yeah.
I was thinking about what you said earlier, and the reason why I think you've been successful in learning all this stuff. When you're in seventh grade doing genetic coding, there's something really wrong with you, first off. But secondly,
Yeah.
but how you're thinking. You've got a scientific mind,
Yeah.
believe it or not.
Well, yes, I actually do. And I really, it's, okay. I have this funny story about, I love psychics. I love getting readings, right? I had this woman read my planets and all the things. And you don't tell her who you are, what you do. And she read my whole chart and she goes, Dawn, I really want to understand, what you do for a living, because your chart in one house, I don't really know the houses, but in one house or one planet, you work for the CIA. That's what it says you do. But you have this, maybe, I think it was Venus, maybe there's another planet over here in this other house, and like the 10th house way over here in the corner. She goes, this planet being way over here in your chart makes it tells me that you are so artistic, you could never take a job at the CIA. So I'm so confused at what you do. She said, you're a profiler, but you're so artistic. I go, I'm an actress. She's like, boom, there it is.
You were doing a part that you were a CIA agent or something. That's what it was.
Always. I only play well, these are my roles, right? I play CIA operatives. I play the boss of everyone. I play the most intelligent woman in the room. I'm usually the villain, because who's the most intelligent, right? So she said, you're a CIA profiler, but you're too artistic.
That's funny.
So I really feel that's very truthful, right? I'm wicked smart, and my level of awareness is above par in a lot of ways, and I just choose to aim it at animals.
That's good.
Or maybe I don't choose. Maybe this was just my journey.
What maybe there's no maybe there anymore. It is a journey. It's a journey. At least this chapter.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yep.
Okay, so we've been on for a long time. So I want to bring money to you and donations and all that. So tell everybody how to get a hold of you, all that kind of stuff, and what are your needs, or anything you can do. Unless, by the way, before we do that, is there anything else we left out?
No, I mean, I think everything's perfect.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
That's my motto. Everything is as it should be right now.
Okay.
If more needs to happen, it will show up before the end of this conversation.
Yeah, well, we can always do a follow up on this, anyways. But seriously, so how everybody can find you? Of course, for everybody's listening, I always say it too. I'm going to have all her links and stuff on the description of the episode. But go ahead and say everything so people that are listening will actually be able to find you and help you.
My first ask is never money, right? Because I think this thing is bigger than that.
Right.
It's a mission, and I need an army, right? So I'm calling out for rosters. If you wanna come and check in, like, this is what I need, because what I see, the vision that I have for this is, I know people love animals. I know people want to support this mission and they want to give money. And that's also important, because when we save these animals on the front line, it's all crowdfunded, right? So you can come and you can follow Moon Mountain Sanctuary and Rescue. We have a website. We have everything that you ever need to know, right? Everything is there. Every move I make comes from my Instagram right now. It's just what I know very well. And so that's how I make announcements. That's how I can give instruction. Or if I go to the auctions to pull lives, you can come there with me and you can help donate to those fundraisers. But I also really support all the other rescues that are in our network, right? So All Seated in the Barn is an amazing rescue out of California. She's sort of my mentor in a lot of ways. And she's taught me and every other girl there at that rescue house how it operates, how it moves. We do a lot of rescues together where she'll run the fundraisers and I'll do the logistics, right? So I don't necessarily say just come to Moon Mountain and just give us your money. It's not about that. This is a much bigger effort that
it's a community.
If you can report for duty, like, that's what I need, right? I need your voice. I need, when I post to go to safeact.org right now, which is an incredible website that sends an AI will actually send a letter to your legislator in your area.
Cool.
Right. I'm going to start doing every Sunday, like we're doing Safe Act Sundays. Right. So I just made a post yesterday about how just really easy steps, how to go and do that. And we've got technology now and I want to utilize it. But this is what I need, right? I'm calling out for an army. I need everybody that cares about animals, that cares about creation, that believes in this effort and knows, like I know, that we can change it. I know that we can shift it. And I don't mind standing at the front of this moving train. I don't mind directing it. I don't mind saying, okay, everybody move left, right? Because I think that's what's going to do it. We need a unified front. And it's since I entered into this game, I've gone to these rescues and I looked around and I said, no one's working together. You guys, everyone has to put down their differences. You might rescue different than this rescue. They might rescue different. Who cares? It doesn't matter right now. Let's make it about the horses. You can go back to doing it in your own way. But right now, we all have to meet here in this one meeting space, and it's virtual. This is just the nature of the game these days. And we have to meet here together, and we have to give clear instruction, and we have to do the same thing at the same time. And if this feels like something that is something that you could get behind, then I would ask you to show up, follow my page, follow these other rescues. If you can donate a little bit on these rescue efforts, then do so. But just support us, right? Support us and be the voice and just clap in the background, because that noise is going to send out a resonant frequency, and we're gonna shift it for these horses.
So give them your addresses.
My home address? You want my home address? Well,
I want your sign, your major, everything.
Okay, my social security number is this. No, so Dawn Olivieri is my Instagram handle, and it's very easy to search it. I've been on a ton of shows, so you can even use Yellowstone to find my name if you can't spell it, right? So Moon Mountain Sanctuary and Rescue is the website.
Think Italian.
The Italian way?
Italian. Olivieri.
Yeah, it's Olivieri. And but that, so you could go to those. You can also check out a lot of these rescues that I talk about. It's a big deal to me to lift them up. You've got All Seated in the Barn in California. You've got Sweet Mercy Rescue in Texas. You've got Liberty Rescue in Utah. You've got Dawn's Haven. You've got Earth Angels. I could just do this all day long, because I think everything that everyone is doing is so amazing, and it's the reason why this is going to work. So I just want, it's the following and the sharing. You believe, it's like, doesn't feel like it does that much, but even that safeact.org site that I posted yesterday, the computer algorithm guy, whoever works the background, the software guy, he messaged Liberty, the woman that runs Liberty, Deborah, and he said, oh my God, it's blowing up right now. And it's because we just do it. We take action, right? That's what this is about. We have to take action. And I'm inspiring people to do it. I rescued 29 horses, first rescue. So if you can go online and like and share and follow, this is the modern day warfare.
Absolutely. So is Instagram the main one that they go to? Are you on Facebook as well? I don't even know.
Yep.
I've got Moon Mountain, but I don't know if I don't have you.
Yeah, I'm there. I just use it as like a through line. So I don't really post a lot on there. It sort of piggybacks on other things. Instagram is it's the main one. So I work off of that.
Okay, cool.
But I have a platform on all of the sites. It just, I don't have time. It's so hard.
Man, don't go there. There's anything.
Oh my God. I don't know how people do it. I'm so amazed by it. Yeah.
I know, it's torture.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. But I also, so along with that, the other things that you can support too are, I'm here in Utah right now. We're filming a series called Homestead. It's a post-apocalyptic series on what happens when the grid goes down. And this show is going to live on Angel Network, and it'll be out in theaters. The first 2 episodes they've put together as a movie that will live. It'll have a theatrical release December 20th. You can go to that, watch that. You get a QR code. It'll give you then 2 free episodes on the Angel Network platform. And then after that, you have to purchase a subscription. But all of these things help, because along with this series, as long as it's a success and it's a go, it all goes back to the horses, right? So it's such a scheme I'm running, right? So I'm like, I have these incredible shows like Yellowstone, like Homestead, and the bigger the demographic reach, the more support we get, and the bigger the army gets. So tell everyone about the show and like and share the show, because through that, I've been back and forth with the producers and the writers on the show, and I think we're getting horses second season. So even that, right? Look what I'm doing. I'm bringing horses now into the series, and it's just going to keep snowballing. That's my aim here.
It's funny. I was going to ask you about that. I was thinking about it yesterday after we talked. I was thinking, I wonder if you're going to get some horses on some of those shows you're on right now. I literally thought that yesterday.
Oh no, it's already done. Like, I've done it. This is the level of focus you're working with here. If you're hiring me on your show, I'm bringing a herd of horses with me, literally bringing a herd of horses.
Yeah.
And along with that, the group that works with this show is like, Dawn, we want to support your advocacy. And so by supporting this show, you are supporting the horses. And, it all gives back. It feeds into the other thing. And then, the army just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And this show is such a the storyline for this show is all about the heart, and it's all about taking a leap of faith. And it's like, it mirrors my life. It's very bizarre. It tends to do that. Acting tends to do that.
Well, that might make you a good actor that way.
Well, one actress once told me, she says, choose the parts that mirror your life the closest. Those will be the roles that you will excel at. So
That's cool. Okay. Anything else?
There's always things, but we'll just save it for the next one.
I know. I always want to make sure I cover anything I can.
This is a good introduction to Dawn, the wild horse, the modern day wild horse Annie, I guess.
The wild lady that's a wild horse. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so last thing. So as we talked about, as everybody knows, we do a silly animal joke at the end of the show.
Okay.
And we know she likes her animals, so you've got a joke. Let's hear what it is.
Okay, we're gonna give this one as an homage to the goat herding.
Sure.
The short goat herding job that I had when I was goat rich for that time. And my joke is, what is a goat's favorite food?
What is a goat's favorite food? I don't know. What's a goat's favorite food?
Everything that you don't want it to eat.
That's so true. I love it. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's just actually just a piece of fact. It's not even really a joke. It just happens to be funny. Anyone that's ever had a goat knows how true that is.
Oh, I know. Trust me, and we'll get into that after we get off this thing. Hey, everybody that's listening out there, of course, I'm always looking for other people to tell jokes. If your grandkids want to tell jokes, or niece, nephews, or whatever, I'll put them on. As many people know, I've had some on them before. If you email at mkyle@forrealpodcast.com. Also, if you've got a great guest like this wild woman who has wild horses that was just on,
oh my God,
please let me know, because we're always looking for good content and really great people. So everybody, please do that. mkyle@forrealpodcast.com. And Dawn, thank you so much for being on. It was such a blast to have you. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, Kyle, I appreciate you giving this platform to the horses, and I hope to give you some updates, and I know there's going to be a lot of them. So, we'll just have to figure out another time to do this.
Oh, we'll absolutely do it. And then for everybody else that's listening, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for listening. For real.
That concludes this episode of For Real with your host, Mark Kyle. For previous and future episodes of For Real, listen via all major podcast streaming sites.